What do you say? What do you say? Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, November 7, and this is the Bill Press Show. We're coming to you live from our nation's capital. Good to see you this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, I'll tell you, we got lots to talk about this morning, lots you're going to want to chime in on at 866-55-PRESS. That's our toll-free number. Remember, you can also send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show, and on Facebook, of course, all of our friends on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Well, in the aftermath of Tuesday's elections, recrimination reverberating in the Republican Party after the Tea Party candidates lost big time in Virginia and in Alabama. Both sides are digging in their heels. Establishment Republicans are saying, see, we told you guys you were too extreme. We need to soften our image and our message if we're going to win. But the Tea Partiers are saying, no, we represent average Americans. We're not going to change. If you had only given us more help, we would have won in Virginia and in Alabama. Meanwhile, in other news, up in Toronto, Mayor Rob Ford, after admitting to smoking crack cocaine in a drunken stupor, but he said only once, sure. He vows he is going to stay on the job, refuses to resign, He's going to do the job for another year and then let the voters decide whether he stays in office. And yesterday, the new governor-elect of Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, went down to Richmond to check out his new digs. And Bill de Blasio up in New York City paid a visit to the mayor's office to see if the desk and chair were big enough for his big frame. All of that and more. We got lots coming up here. Don't forget, you can join the conversation anytime at 866-55-PRESS. It's The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids
you.
how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
The Tea Party, a little shaky after Tuesday. A lot of Republicans are saying this is the end of the Tea Party. Let's get back to the middle of the road. What do you say? Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, November 7. Here we go. The Bill Press Show coming to you live from our nation's capital. with all the news of the day, wherever it's happening here in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. A little bit on the quiet side these days with the House of Representatives out of action, but the Senate, of course, is there. And a big hearing yesterday with Kathleen Sebelius. Other news around the country, north of the border with Rob Ford up in Toronto making a big splash. And, of course, around the world, wherever it's happening, we'll let you know what's going on this Thursday morning and, of course, give you a chance to get involved in the conversation. Join us at 866-55-PRESS, 866-55-77-377. Send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show and on Facebook. Facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Here we are, your progressive morning radio wake-up call on all your progressive talk stations around the country. Also, looking at you on Free Speech TV. If you got a satellite dish, tune us in on DirecTV or the Dish Network. And if you are in front of your computer, kick back, do your work while you're watching the show at TawkrTV. YouTube.com/TawkrTV. And the team here this morning ready to serve you. Peter Ogburn. Hello, Peter.
Hey.
Everything good?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Happy Thursday.
You know, Thursday's our second most favorite day around the Bill Press Show.
Next to Monday, of course, when we know we have a whole week to spend with our friends.
Right. Not exactly what I had in mind. Alicia Cruz is standing by to take your phone calls. Right, Alicia? Good morning. And Cyprian Bolding is on the video cam, keeping us looking good on Free Speech and on Talker TV with his video cam. Cyprian Bolding gets a big wave this morning. Good morning. Good morning. So, you know me, I have been leading a one-man campaign against drones, the use of drones. Didn't like them under George Bush. Don't like them under Barack Obama either. And Barack Obama has only accelerated the use of drones. And now drones are coming from Afghanistan and Pakistan to this country. But that's not necessarily, I want to be the first to admit, that is not necessarily all bad news. Right?
Okay.
I did say before that if they have drones, like, for example, to help spot forest fires.
Mm-hmm.
You know? They used to have those, like, people up in those towers, and they would look out over. You know, the drones, they can cover a lot more territory.
Sure.
So that's a good use. Rescues for the Coast Guard at sea. People, a little sailing ship out there, getting a little trouble, a little stormy weather. You know, you help find those people. That's a good use. Here's a use that I never thought of, which I am ready to endorse today, and that is the use of drones, particularly in the South, in the southern states, to hunt down and kill feral pigs. They got these big mothers, right, that have been...
Giant feral
pigs out there, and they mate and breed with a... domestic pigs.
Fatter domesticated pigs. Right. So then you turn these monster hogs.
Monster hogs, yeah.
And they're wiping out crops and doing all kinds of damage.
And tearing down fences and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. I think they're Tea Party members, actually. But anyway.
They are in the South.
Here's a farmer from down in, is he in Georgia?
He's in Louisiana.
Louisiana. Says, these cameras here, or these drones with their cameras here, here's how it works.
Is the magic piece. This is the thermal camera on the airplane that, for all intents and purposes, it makes the pigs look like they're glowing in the dark.
So the pigs glow in the dark, then the drone comes by and end of pig.
No more pig.
Yeah.
Pork chops for dinner.
As long as they get the right pig.
You don't want to.
You know what I mean?
You don't want to get any civilian pigs. You know?
Well, you don't want to get any of the big sows, you know, that they're getting ready for the next 4-H
That's right.
contest or something.
That's right.
So they got to be smart drones.
Bacon drones, yeah.
Well, I want to know, so are these the same people out at the CIA who run the drones in Pakistan?
I don't think so. I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't know. All right. Hey, we got a lot going on this morning here. Our good buddy Joe Cirincione is going to be here from the Ploughshares Fund to talk about problems that we're getting even with our allies with all this NSA spying. We'll be also talking to reporters from Buzzfeed and Huffington Post and the Toronto Globe and Mail. That's where we start today with Mayor Rob Ford. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
A couple of other stories making news. Being Biden. Wednesday afternoon, Vice President Joe Biden called Marty Walsh, the mayor-elect of Boston, Massachusetts. The problem was Biden called the wrong Marty Walsh. Biden got on the phone. He thought he got in contact with Marty Walsh, and Biden proclaimed, "Marty, you son of a gun, you did it." Lucky for Biden, this Marty Walsh was a former Ted Kennedy staffer, so he was still happy to hear from him, but it wasn't the mayor-elect of Boston.
But, that wasn't Biden's fault. I'm sure he told
Of course it wasn't Biden's
get
fault.
Marty Walsh on the phone, right?
And, look, I'm sure Biden's happy to talk to anybody, He's happy to just talk to people in the area.
I gotta tell you,
Marty, you son of a gun.
Marty, you son of a gun. Hey, but I know a guy twice, Sid Harmon, the late, great Sid Harmon.
Sure.
Jane Harmon's husband. Twice got a call from Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton thinking it was a different Sid Harmon.
Really?
Yes. Both times.
Oh, wow.
Sid was so excited to get a call from the president, and it turned out it was the wrong number.
Twice.
It wasn't a wrong number, but it was a different Sid Harmon.
Different Sid Harmon. That's funny.
Of course, Clinton talked to him anyway for
sure.
probably an hour.
Yeah, exactly. This is one way to get people to watch women's basketball.
Uh-oh.
Kansas State was fearing low turnout for their ladies' basketball home opener earlier this week, so they sweetened the deal for attendees. They were going to cook 100 pounds of bacon to give away to anyone who attended the game. The promotion was so popular, in fact, that they had to up the amount of bacon to 350 pounds, which they say is enough to feed 750 people.
Well, whoa, you get like a half a pound
like a half pound of bacon.
That's a lot of bacon.
Right? For a college student?
That's a lot of bacon.
Yeah.
That's a full strips don't weigh that much.
That's right. There you go. And a new dinosaur was unveiled by paleontologists Wednesday afternoon. They say that this predates the Tyrannosaurus rex. Models of the creature show that it was likely smaller than T-Rex, but similar in size and shape. They have called it the Lithranax, meaning the king of gore. It was discovered in Utah in 2009, and they made a 3D model of the dinosaur. It's currently on display at the Natural History Museum of Utah.
What's the name of it?
The Lithranax.
God, they're going to have to rewrite all the dinosaurs.
Right? I'm telling you.
Yeah. Kids always learn the names of dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah.
Now there's a whole new one. They got
this one.
Oh, my God. Yeah. How about it? Well, up in Toronto, a big story. I wanted to talk about this again today because we didn't have a chance to get your comments yesterday about Mayor Rob Ford of Toronto. And the big question really is, should he have to resign because of his admission after months of denial that he had ever smoked crack cocaine? There was rumor that they'd found a video of the mayor, just like Marion Barry. I know, Marion Barry, who got caught by the FBI in a downtown Washington hotel with his girlfriend snorting crack cocaine years and years and years ago.
To be fair, I think he was smoking it. Let's be clear. You don't think he was snorting. I think he was smoking.
What did I say?
You said snorting.
Snorting. Okay.
Which you can also do, I hear, but right. He was smoking the crack.
He was smoking it. And he was sent up the river, and he came back, and the people of Washington reelected him mayor of the city of Washington. So, forgiving populace here in Washington, D.C.,
and he's still serving.
And he's still on the city council.
Yeah,
in fact,
city council.
We call him Mayor for Life.
That's right.
Mayor for Life. So the question now is, should the citizens of Toronto allow Rob Ford to stay in office, or should they bounce him? Because he admitted it. 866-55-PRESS is the toll-free number. So here is Rob Ford when he finally decides. Remember, the way this started to unravel is the police chief said, yeah, we've got the video, and it is the mayor on the video. We're just not going to comment on what he was doing on that video. They haven't released the video, have they?
No.
Right. But the mayor knew at this time he had to come clean, so he did with reporters.
Yes, I have smoked crack cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
When,
but
sir?
no, do I? Am I an addict? No. Probably in one of my drunken stupors, probably approximately about a year ago.
Yeah. So he's saying he did it once about a year ago in a drunken stupor. And, of course, the question that the reporters ask is, well, why you been lying to us all this time, douchebag?
I wasn't lying. You didn't ask the correct questions. No, I'm not an addict. And no, I do not do drugs. I made mistakes in the past, and all I can do is apologize. But it is what it is, and I can't change the past.
I didn't lie to you. You just didn't ask the right questions. If you had asked me, did you ever once, about a year ago, in a drunken stupor, smoke crack cocaine, he would have said yes. But nobody asked that question.
Got to learn to ask the right questions.
Or they might have said, in Riverside Park.
Right. Right.
At 11:17 p.m. Right. I mean,
you got to be very specific.
Had to be very, very specific. Right. So then comes the question. And I mean, seriously, let's say look, don't think this could not happen in the United States. Of course it could happen in the United States. It could happen in Birmingham, right? It could happen in Des Moines. It could happen in Asheville, North Carolina. You never know, right? What would you say if this were your mayor? Well, and there were some protests outside his office yesterday saying he's got to step down. This is an embarrassment, colossal embarrassment to the people of Toronto. He can no longer be mayor. But he held a news conference yesterday and said, I'm staying on the job.
I was elected to do a job, and that's exactly what I'm going to continue doing.
And it'll be up to the people of Toronto to decide if he keeps his job or gets another 4 years. And that election is next year. So in the meantime, stays on the job. Let the people decide.
I want the people of this great city to decide whether they want Rob Ford to be their mayor.
And you know what? I got to tell you, again, you tell me 866-55-PRESS. I'm in Toronto. I'm a voter in Toronto. I say, let him stay on the job. He's done a good job. I mean, Toronto's a great city. I haven't been there in a long time. I'd like to go back and see it. Beautiful skyline. It's
wonderful crack.
Wonderful crack.
Great crack.
No, it's doing pretty well. 6th largest city in North America. It's rolling along under Rob Ford. So you're gonna bounce him. Otherwise, doing a good job, right? Otherwise, doing a good job. So you're going to throw him out for smoking crack cocaine. If he's doing it every day, fine. If it's interfering with his job every day, obviously it's not. I'd say leave him on the job. 866-55-PRESS. At least he wasn't sending selfies around, right?
True. Have you seen the guy? Naked selfies of Rob Ford. I don't know if there's a camera big enough.
I don't want to see any naked. Right. And at least he wasn't, having an affair with his campaign manager's wife. That happened to another mayor that I know. Rob Ford. Yeah. Got my vote. 86. How about yours? 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
Enough.
Enough. Enough.
Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan.
No more lists of names.
It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday.
It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, 24 minutes after the hour, we're talking about Rob Ford, a mayor up in Toronto, who admits that he smoked crack cocaine, but said he's going to stay on the job, despite calls for him, growing calls for him to resign. How do you come down on this? 866-55-PRESS. By the way, it seems that this guy, one of the reasons people like it, his popularity has shot up to 44% approval rating after he admitted smoking crack cocaine. But this is a guy who has a history of people sort of identify him because he's your ordinary overweight beer drinking like pal or neighbor. You know, they can identify with him. He's not he's not your downtown button down professional like lawyer that you usually see in the politicians. For example, I was just reading, he once pledged that he was going to lose weight. He's way overweight, right?
He
heavy. Makes Chris Christie look like GQ material, right?
He's pretty chubby, yeah.
So he once pledged he was going to go on a big diet, and then he publicly abandoned his diet and slipped off a scale and broke his ankle. Or twisted his ankle.
No.
Yeah. He was showing how much he still weighed and he slipped off the scale. Another time, he was trying to evade reporters and he turned and walked right into a TV camera and got a black eye.
Oh,
and
no.
So he's sort of the you could sort of identify with. So people say, yeah, but he's our guy. And they
kind of like Homer Simpson if he was a mayor.
No, that's right. But he goes out trick-or-treating with his kids, and his supporters call themselves the Ford Nation. So the Ford nation is standing behind Rob Ford. Andy's calling from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Hi, Andy. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. What do you think of this guy?
Well, I was just thinking it was kind of ironic. He may have a future in radio. I mean, Rush Limbaugh got by on the hillbilly heroin, and he's the major voice in the Republican Party.
You know what? There you go. Not bad. I certainly don't want to hear Rush Limbaugh attacking this guy, right?
No.
He's a soul brother. Andy, I think you're onto something. Yes. Fox News, are you listening? Either talk radio or Fox News.
Punditry, yeah.
Yeah, right. He could be on the 5.
Sure.
I don't know I don't know if there's room for both Bob Bagel and Rob Ford.
It'd be tough to tell the difference
at the same table. Kevin in Stratford, Connecticut. Hi, Kevin.
Good morning. Hey, Bill, this guy is supporting the drug culture up in Toronto. There's crackhead, resellers that are making money off of this guy. Is that the kind of message you want the children of Toronto to know is okay?
Well, they're not making a lot of money off this guy. He used it once.
No,
he says.
Don't really know. You want to take his word for it? I don't.
I'll take his word for it. I think it would be more obvious if the guy had been smoking a long time. I could be wrong. No, of course I don't want to. But look, he made a mistake. He admitted he made a mistake. I just think we tend to jump too quickly on some of our politicians and expect them to be absolutely as pure as the Pope. I'm glad they're not.
I think one of the big differences between him and Marion Barry is they suspected that he was smoking crack frequently. Marion Barry.
Marion Barry?
Yeah.
By the way, and he was.
Yeah, he was.
And by the way, he's still getting in trouble.
Yes, he is.
Barry. I mean, trouble walks. That's his middle name. All right. So, look, the voter. Here's my prediction. Rob Ford's going to stay in office, and he'll be reelected.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
It is possible to read the history of this country as one long struggle to extend the liberties established in our Constitution to everyone in America. In other words, who, according to our laws and culture, gets to be considered a person? The law creates legal personhood, and movements create law and change culture. So, how have the courts passed laws to shape our culture? That history goes way back before Citizens United. 1819, Dartmouth College versus Woodward, Supreme Court case, turned a corporate charter from a government-granted charter to a contract. This ruling gave corporations standing within the Constitution. 1886, Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad. Though the court did not rule on corporate personhood, the decision was subsequently cited as a precedent to hold that a private corporation is entitled to the same 14th Amendment rights of due process and equal protection as human beings. This makes it impossible for us to make laws that treat local businesses any differently than giant multinational corporations, even if their business practices are deemed to be harmful to workers, the environment and communities, or if they have a history of violating the law. Hale versus Henkel, 1906. The court granted corporations the Fourth Amendment search and seizure protection. Dodge versus Ford Motor Company, 1919. The Michigan Supreme Court says The business corporation is organized and carried on primarily for the profit of the stockholders. Stockholder primacy is established. The purpose of the corporation, according to the court, is no longer to serve the public good, as it had been. It is now to maximize profit for shareholders above all else. Pennsylvania Coal Company versus Mahon, 1922. Corporations get the Fifth Amendment takings clause, meaning if you pass a regulation that impacts a corporation's ability to make a profit, that is deemed a taking, and they can sue for the right to future profits lost. This creates a chilling effect, and local and state governments become much more hesitant to pass laws in the public interest for fear that corporations can claim loss of potential profits that cities and states will be on the hook to pay. Buckley versus Vallejo, 1976. The Supreme Court rules that spending money to influence elections is protected under the First Amendment, in effect saying that money is speech. Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission, 2010.
Today, the Supreme Court of Chief Justice John Roberts declared that because of the alchemy of its 19th century predecessors in deciding that corporations had all the rights of people, any restrictions on how these corporate beings spend their money on political advertising are unconstitutional.
The court's ruling threatens to undermine the integrity of elected institutions across the nation. It's a rejection of the common sense of the American people.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go, 33 minutes after the hour. It is the Bill Press Show. We are coming to you live from our nation's capital here in Washington, D.C., in our studio on Capitol Hill, just down the street from the United States Capitol building. And brought to you today by Sherwin-Williams. Yes, make the most of your color with the very best paint. Ask Sherwin-Williams, of course. And I know some of you are wondering, what's Bill doing with that scarf this morning? Well, let me tell you something. It's cold in the studio this morning. That's why I have
It
a
is
scarf
cold.
on. And speaking of scarves, there are none more beautiful, none better, none more comfortable than those like this one, woven by my wife, Carol Press. And if you want to see the whole collection of her scarves, this is rayon chenille. They're beautiful. Make great gifts for Christmas and Hanukkah. Go to our website, BillPressShow.com, and up the very upper right-hand corner, you'll see a link to Carol Press scarves. Click there. You're in business. Lots of colors, lots of patterns to choose from. And lots of talk this day after the big elections on Tuesday about which direction the Republican Party should go in, continue to go to the extreme right with the Tea Party and continue to lose, or kind of come back to the middle, establishment Republicans, conservative, yes, but not crazy, and start to win some seats. The lead article in the New York Times this morning, and there are articles like this on all the blogs and the websites. Everybody's talking about it. This headline is, GOP weighs limiting the clout of the right wing. Listen to just this. This by Jonathan Martin. Actually, I was at Jonathan Martin's house last night for a little event. Here's the first paragraph. Leaders of the Republican establishment, alarmed by the emergence of far-right and often unpredictable Tea Party candidates, are pushing their party to rethink how it chooses nominees and advocating changes they say would result in the selection of less extreme contenders. So I'm asking you, do you think the Tea Partiers will accept the fact, will acknowledge that they are doing more harm than good to the Republican Party? Do you think the Tea Partiers, like Ted Cruz and Rand Paul and Michelle Bachmann, are now seeing what happened on Tuesday, where they lost big in Virginia and lost big in Alabama after having lost big in Delaware and Nevada and Indiana, a lot of other states the last time around? Do you think they're going to say, okay, we get the message. We know now we're too far to the right. We're going to come back to the middle. Or are they just going to double down? 866-55-PRESS. You tell me. Is this the end of the Tea Party, and will they admit it? 866-55-77-377. Meanwhile, yesterday, Terry McAuliffe, governor-elect of Virginia, went down to Richmond and said, I am here. Remember, it is still a Republican-controlled state house. He said, I'm here to work together to get things done.
I think the message out of last night is they want a governor who's going to work in a mainstream, bipartisan way. Doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or Republican. If you're willing to come in and help.
We'll see how if he meets the people willing to, if he finds people willing to meet him halfway in Richmond. And in New Jersey, now this is kind of funny because this gets right to what we're talking about here. Where does the Tea Party go? Where does the Republican Party go? Chris Christie, Republican, of course, conservative, you bet, but no Tea Party guy. He said yesterday, the message that I get out of this election is, I want to get back to work.
I'm thrilled to have the campaign behind me and to get back to governing, which is what we're going to do starting today, and get back to work.
And Chris Christie says, but the thing about it is the reason I won so big is because I'm just such a wonderful, wonderful person.
The verdict from last night is that, at least in New Jersey, people like who I am and like the way I govern.
People like me. Everybody likes me. Everybody loves me. Yes, Stuart Smalley.
I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And doggone it, people like me.
Sounds a lot like him.
Oh, do you think Al Franken ever thought that he would be the forerunner of Chris Christie, right? Yeah. I do. So, but that's the point. So Republicans, a lot of them, are not happy that Chris Christie won because he is no Tea Party candidate. The Daily Caller yesterday morning, conservative blog started by Tucker Carlson. Their banner headline in the morning was, Bad Night for Conservatives. De Blasio, McAuliffe, and Chris Christie. They loved Chris Christie right in with the ultra-liberal and great progressive Bill de Blasio and Democrat Terry McAuliffe. Now, I got to tell you, my take on this, and again, I'd love to hear from you at 866-55-PRESS, is I don't think two things are going to happen. I think there will be more and more effort on the part of establishment, if you will, Republican organizations like the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, who went down there in Alabama in that special election in the 1st Congressional District in the Republican primary, supported the business-oriented candidate, Bradley Byrne, and helped him get a 5-point win over the Tea Partier, Dean Young. I think that more and more of these groups are going to look at primaries around the country, Republican primaries for Senate or for the House, and I'm sure for governor's race as well, and say these Tea Partiers are destroying the party. They're taking us too far to the right. They're too far out of the mainstream where most middle class Americans are. Too far out of the mainstream, and we gotta work inside the Republican Party to limit their influence and to knock their candidates off and get some good old-fashioned middle-of-the-road Republicans in office. I think you're going to see more and more of that effort. But the real question is, will the Tea Partiers acknowledge that they're too extreme? And I think the answer to that is no way, no how. Do you think Ted Cruz is ever going to stand up and say, I admit it.
Lesson learned.
The lesson learned. I was wrong. No, not going to. I think Ted Cruz, who was out there for Ken Cuccinelli, he's never going to admit that he was wrong in supporting Cuccinelli. He's going to say that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce was wrong in not giving Cuccinelli more money, or that people like Karl Rove were wrong in not giving Cuccinelli more money. He's going to blame it on the establishment Republicans, on the people like Mitch McConnell or the people like Howard Baker used to be, who do want to work together and solve problems and get things done. So I don't think you'd expect the Tea Party. I don't think you expect the Tea Party to change at all. Ted Cruz will just be looking at putting up more people like Cuccinelli in Virginia. Let's jump out to Maryland. Maryland's down in Ardmore, Tennessee. Hi, Maryland. What do you say?
Good
morning. Thank you for taking my call so quickly because I do have to go to work.
Oh, good for you. Well,
I just wanted to say, first of all, I am a registered Republican, but probably closer to the rhino. I just learned that term the other day.
Oh, yeah.
But I come from a family of educators and have this discussion, unfortunately, with a lot of close friends and family. And what I see happening, the Michelle Bachmans and the Ted Cruzes and the people who support them, unfortunately, I think they're just going to cling to their beliefs. You know, they're going to put knowledge and information and facts aside, information be damned.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to cling to their beliefs because they want to believe that they're right and everybody else is wrong. And they're not about, unfortunately, changing their views. I mean, one of the arguments I have constantly with close friends and family members is, give me the information. If I'm wrong, I will change my opinion. Given new information, I will consider that maybe there's new information. You know, the world used to be considered flat, but they won't. They are going to cling to their beliefs. They've read and interpreted the Bible, and you know they know what's right. And to hell with everybody else. And I hate to say it, I think they'll become more extreme.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's not because I'm wishing it. I just don't think they are going to change their beliefs. You know, I try to teach my students. I'm an educator. You know, beliefs are one thing. You believe in Santa Claus, that's fine, but knowledge and facts are something else.
Yeah,
and I think some of the resistance to Common Core is that, because it's about fact-based. You know, what did the author say in the text?
Mm-hmm. Marilyn, I got to tell you, I so appreciate the call. I see why you're an educator, because you educated us a lot this morning, but I agree with you. I think they'll just double down, and facts, knowledge, and science, you say, right, pushed aside. These people are true believers. They're not going to change, and we're just going to have to defeat more Tea Party candidates and just wipe them out that way, politically, of course, I'm talking about, because they themselves will never admit that they're wrong.
This is the Bill Press Show.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing dot, I want you to just push the area.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
To make the governor's race a referendum on Obamacare, the governor's race of Virginia actually turned out to be a referendum on the government shutdown. And people said, we didn't like this. Again, back to what we were just talking about, we don't like this Tea Party tactic. Speaking of Obamacare, it was HHS Secretary Kathleen Sebelius back on the Hill yesterday, her second round of testimony, this in front of a Senate committee, where she said, we're working on fixing the website, and already there's a big, big difference and a big improvement.
In the first few weeks after healthcare.gov launched, users had to wait an average of 8 seconds for pages to load. Today, it typically takes less than a second.
There you go.
A month ago, viewing and filtering health plans took minutes. Today, it takes seconds.
And the president, meanwhile, on the road, went down to Dallas yesterday where he talked about the affordable health care. And as we have done, he pointed out while there are problems with the federal website and the health exchanges for those states that don't have their own health exchange, where those states have set up their own program, Kentucky, California, New York, they've had great success in and added to that one we haven't talked about yet, the state of Arkansas.
The state of Arkansas has already reduced its number of uninsured by 14% already, just in the first month, by signing people up for expanded Medicaid.
So I think we're going to get. It's been a bumpy road for the White House. Let's admit it. The last 10 days, and I know I've had a lot of criticism from you listeners and viewers that I've been too hard on Barack Obama during this time. That it's all the Republican governor's fault or whatever because of this the problems with the rollout of healthcare.gov. But I'm sorry, they screwed it up. They botched it up. And we got to admit that. This is his number one legislative achievement. This is the most important thing the administration has done. This was their most important moment. They got one shot at rolling it out and getting it right, and they blew it. They blew it because the website wasn't ready and well enough tested and able to handle the traffic that they should have expected. And they blew it because the president did make a promise, which he really can't keep and shouldn't be able to keep, that people who have crappy, worthless health insurance policies today that they might ignorantly like are going to be able to keep them. They can't because they're worthless. So in those two respects, you just got to admit, look, but my point is, we'll soon have that behind us.
Right. The great thing about this criticism that everybody seems to hate is that when you criticize and you look at it and you say this is what's wrong with it, then they get the chance to fix it.
Yeah,
and Sebelius laying it out and saying this is where we were, this is where we are. And it's totally different.
They're fixing it. I think they'll have it fixed by the end of the month. One other thing I want to mention, we've talked a lot about voter suppression laws. There were some 20 states, remember, I think it was as many as 25 states last year, where state legislatures passed various means of, they said, protecting us against voter fraud, when in fact there's almost no examples of voter fraud anywhere in the country. And what they really were, they were attempts to suppress the vote, particularly to suppress the vote among groups that might vote Democratic, young people, seniors, racial minorities. Well, you know what? In several cases in Texas, it has come back and bit them in the ass. So in Texas, this law, which was really designed, the one they passed in Texas, to make it harder for Latinos to vote, because guess what? Because Republicans are so bad on immigration reform, Latinos, when they register to vote, might very well vote Democratic. In the last couple of days, this law in Texas has raised questions and set off alarms and prevented from being able to vote Democratic gubernatorial candidate Wendy Davis, state senator, did the whole filibuster.
Sure.
One of the most famous women now in the country.
The best known women, yeah.
She went in to vote, was not allowed to vote, couldn't get a voter registration under this. And not only that, a former Speaker of the House, Jim Wright. He was Speaker of the House. Get this. He's 90 years old, so he doesn't have a driver's license. He doesn't have a photo ID. People say, you need a photo ID. That's easy. Everybody's got one. Boop. No, they don't. Jim Wright does not have a photo ID. He presented his faculty the card from Texas Christian University, where he's on the faculty. They would not accept that. And so now he's going to go out and get a copy of his birth certificate, and he hopes that the birth certificate will enable him to vote in the state of Texas. Former Speaker of the House of Representatives. That's how absurd these voter suppression laws are. All right, we'll be back. Wrap it up here, our first hour on The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek, Newtown,
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, in the next hour, Ploughshares Fund President Joe Cirincione in studio with us. We'll also be talking whatever happened to gun safety with Christina Wilkie from the Huffington Post. Peter, what's up?
Yeah, the sad news, Bill, for the Washington Times. They had to lay off one of their columnists yesterday.
No.
Yes, indeed. Yes, it's tough times for them. They had to put an end to their columnist, Rand Paul. He's been writing a weekly column for them since the summer, and of course, as we've been talking about here, he's had some problems with plagiarizing from movies and things like that. So it turns out he borrowed heavily from a column by by Dan Stewart of The Week in his September column for the Washington Times. And the Times said, "Hey, dude, you can't do that." So they fired him. So no more column from Rand Paul in the Washington Times. I'm sorry if you were a fan.
All right. Well, I got good news for you. If you can't read Rand Paul's column anymore, you can always read my column. Go to BillPressShow.com, and I want to assure you that every word of my column, and here is this week's column. I've been working on it during the breaks. Every word is written by me.
Is the
Nobody
Bill
else.
Press Show.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
What do you say? What do you say? Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, November 7, and this is the Bill Press Show. We're coming to you live from our nation's capital. Good to see you this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, I'll tell you, we got lots to talk about this morning, lots you're going to want to chime in on at 866-55-PRESS. That's our toll-free number. Remember, you can also send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show, and on Facebook, of course, all of our friends on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Well, in the aftermath of Tuesday's elections, recrimination reverberating in the Republican Party after the Tea Party candidates lost big time in Virginia and in Alabama. Both sides are digging in their heels. Establishment Republicans are saying, see, we told you guys you were too extreme. We need to soften our image and our message if we're going to win. But the Tea Partiers are saying, no, we represent average Americans. We're not going to change. If you had only given us more help, we would have won in Virginia and in Alabama. Meanwhile, in other news, up in Toronto, Mayor Rob Ford, after admitting to smoking crack cocaine in a drunken stupor, but he said only once, sure. He vows he is going to stay on the job, refuses to resign. He's going to do the job for another year and then let the voters decide whether he stays in office. And yesterday, The new governor-elect of Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, went down to Richmond to check out his new digs. And Bill de Blasio up in New York City paid a visit to the mayor's office to see if the desk and chair were big enough for his big frame. All of that and more. We got lots coming up here. Don't forget, you can join the conversation anytime at 866-55-PRESS. It's The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach
likes
your
you.
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Chris Christie says it takes a big ego to think about running for president. Of course, he's got a big ego, and he admits he's thinking about it. Good morning, everybody. What do you say? It is November 7th, Thursday. This is The Bill Press Show. We are coming to you live from our nation's capital and our studio on Capitol Hill here in Washington, D.C. Good to see you this morning. Thank you for joining us as we tackle the big news stories of the day. What's happening here in our nation's capital, around the country, around the globe, north of the border up in Toronto. Mayor Rob Ford making a lot of noise up there. He says he's going to stick to the jobs, do the job for another year, not smoke crack cocaine anymore, and let the voters decide next year whether he stays in office. Wherever it's happening, we'll tell you what's going on. That's our job, your job. Let us know what you think about it and what it means to you and your family, your community. Give us a call at 866. Several ways you could do that. Give us a call at 866-55-PRESS. That's our toll-free number, 866-55-PRESS. Or send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/BillPressShow. You know, there's so much going on, even with the House of Representatives out of town. We always need help from our friends to get through the news. So we turned this morning to Christina Wilkie, who is a political reporter on the Hill for Huffington Post, the great HuffPo. Hello, Christina. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in. Your first time in studio, I think.
It is. I'm very excited.
Isn't that exciting? Yeah.
It is.
Do we have the fruit basket and the flowers?
You'll get a very nice parting gift when you
Bottle
leave.
of wine.
Yeah, very nice stuff.
All right, exactly.
Great.
And you join our team here, Peter Ogburn.
Hi there.
Alicia Cruz has the phones covered, and Cyprian Bolding, because we are not only a radio show on your progressive talk radio station, but we are also seen on Free Speech TV. That's why we have these video cameras around, and Cyprian Bolding keeps them going and keeps us looking good on them. Thank you, Cyprian.
By the way, we had a very much nicer parting gift to give you, but Arthur Delaney, who's in every Tuesday, he took a lot of stuff. Yeah, he took a lot of stuff from the swag
Took
bag.
the chocolate and the apples.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Left the cheese.
Yeah. Right.
Artie always does. He cleans us out every Tuesday.
He walks out of here, it looks like a pack rat, just laden down with stuff.
So you can also, again, listen on your local progressive talk radio station, number one. You can also catch us on Free Speech TV if you got a satellite dish at on the Dish Network or
DirecTV. Find us there, man.
A little brain fart. And on TawkrTV, if you want to watch the video stream, it's youtube.com/TawkrTV. Well, the president was on the road yesterday down in Dallas. The vice president was on the road, too, talking about one of his favorite themes, which is supporting and pushing and encouraging bringing America's manufacturing base back. He went to a cargo rail plant out in Ohio, and he said, here's our goal. We want to ship things made in America.
The United States has the potential to double its exports and do it much more cheaply. But only if we're ready to modernize our infrastructure to keep up with the changes and stack those ships with goods that are stamped Made in America.
Made in America. Thank you, Joe Biden. So Christina Wilkie here for the first half hour. We'll be joined later at the half by Joe Cirincione, head of the Ploughshares Fund, to look at the repercussions of the NSA spying scandal among our allies, and Evan McMorris-Santoro from Buzzfeed will be here as a friend of Bill for the next hour. Christina, we'll get right into what you've been covering on the Hill. But first,
this
big headline for the day.
Yes, indeed. Big headline. Speaking of Joe Biden, this might be the Bideniest story ever. Yesterday afternoon, Joe Biden called Marty Walsh the mayor-elect of Boston, Massachusetts. The problem was Biden called the wrong Marty Walsh. When he got who he thought was Marty on the line, the Veep exclaimed, "Marty, you son of a gun, you did it." Unfortunately, this was a Marty Walsh who used to work for Ted Kennedy, not the Marty Walsh who had been elected to serve as mayor of Boston. So, little 2-for-1 there for Joe yesterday. He talked to 2 Marty Walshes in one day.
Well, I think it was nice of him to call the other Marty Walsh. Because, it's just like last night, I was at the home of Jonathan Martin, who's a good friend, and he's a reporter for the New York Times.
Yeah, sure.
And
he's not a football player for the Miami Dolphins.
Exactly. He's not the guy from the Miami Dolphins that got beat up by Richard Incognito. So I went to his house just because I wanted to reach out to him. Right?
Or there you go.
And who wouldn't want 2 calls from Joe Biden?
Yeah, exactly.
What a great gift that is.
Exactly.
Here's a news story straight from the 1990s. Yesterday, Blockbuster Video announced they were closing their 300 remaining video stores that had remained open even after the company had downsized in previous years. These stragglers took a while to realize that the times, they have changed. With Netflix, Redbox, and other platforms to stream content, it's been years since anyone has realistically stepped foot into a video rental store. Blockbuster had also started up a DVD delivery service to compete with Netflix, but that will also be shut down by mid-December.
You know, it wasn't that long ago. Just right here on 8th Street, half a block from us.
Yeah.
Where the organic food store is.
That's right.
Yes. Was a big Blockbuster store. It was one of the busiest places on Capitol Hill, right? People in there picking up videos and everything. How long has it been since you went to a video store and rented a video? I mean,
15 years.
Yeah.
There was one not far from where
they had any stores left, actually.
300 around the nation is what was left. There was actually one not far from where my childhood home. When I went back there not that long ago, I went in there, and the rats had taken over. They weren't even scared of humans anymore. It was like Thunderdome in there. And Starbucks is giving back to veterans. They have laid out a plan to hire 10,000 military veterans and spouses of veterans over the next 5 years. Starbucks organized this initiative with the help of former Defense Secretary Robert Gates. He helped them get this off the ground. And they say that they want to utilize, quote, the unique communication, leadership, and problem-solving skills developed by veterans and their families, end quote. Again, this is going to take place over the next 5 years.
Yeah, it's a big, big project and priority for the First Lady, and I've heard her talk about it many times. She's absolutely right. These people come back with all these skills, that applicable to American businesses.
Right, and the transition time, however, if they can't find work, the time, the longer one is out of work, the more difficult it can become to find a job. The quicker we can get somebody, even if it's maybe not what they'll do for the rest of their career, we can just get somebody to a point where they're earning income, where they're self-sufficient and independent. It can ease what is an incredibly difficult transition.
So the next time you see a Starbucks across from a Starbucks, which as predominant as they are, don't worry, it's okay. They're hiring veterans.
Very good. Now, so Christina, I want to particularly talk to you because you've been writing a lot and covering a lot about the whole gun safety issue. And let's start at the national level. We had this incident last week, a week ago tomorrow at LAX, where one TSA agent was killed by this young guy, 23-year-old Paul Ciancia, and then just a couple, and that people talked about it on Friday, and then boom, disappeared. It was gone. It was done. And then Monday we turn around, and then I think it was Monday or Tuesday, this shooting at this mall up in New Jersey. Fortunately, nobody killed there, and the gunman
suicide.
ended up. It was a
tragic
kind of a way to go out with a bang, I guess, literally. But again, it's almost like as if we have accepted these mass shootings as that's just the new normal, right? So CBS News, the night of the day after the New Jersey mall shooting, reported there have been 11 mass shootings in the last year, 85 people killed. What is Congress doing about it?
Absolutely nothing, is the short answer. There was a deafening silence, certainly following the LAX shooting and the New Jersey mall shooting. There's
a peep.
Not a peep. Actually quite the opposite. Yesterday, Wednesday morning, vulnerable Senate Democrats who are now repositioning themselves. They're worried that the gun lobby, the NRA, are going to launch enormous campaigns against them. People like Kay Hagan in North Carolina, Mark Pryor in Arkansas, they introduced a bill that is filled with giveaways to the trophy hunting lobby, to hunters, to the gun industry. I mean, this was their way of jumping right into 2014 to the Clash of the Titans on guns. It was just head-scratching.
They're going in the opposite direction?
Opposite direction. They're attempting to protect their flank. They're vulnerable. They're running in purple states. They understand they're running in states with long traditions of gun ownership. And they're attempting to get out ahead of what they consider potentially to be a damaging and expensive, a bruising fight.
So what would their legislation do, for example? Is it all one bill? I mean, they're all on one bill, or are there a bunch of different bills?
No, it's one bill. It's called the Sportsmen and Hunters Protection Act. and sport for short.
Yeah, this is what we need, right?
Oh, right, exactly.
Yeah.
So one of the things it would do is allow the importation of trophy-hunted polar bears, which is currently illegal.
Good Lord.
Exactly. The polar bears are extremely vulnerable. Their habitats are disappearing all over the world.
Yeah, I mean, climate change is doing enough to kill off the polar
Exactly.
bears.
And yet trophy hunters love to shoot them. And it's legal up in Canada. So for the past 30 years or so, it's been illegal to bring them back into the States, which effectively shuts down if you can't bring your trophy home for a trophy hunting kind of person, there's not nearly as much motivation to go out and shoot the bear. But should this bill pass, all of a sudden it would be legal to bring home your head-mounted or stuffed polar bear, vulnerable polar bear. So this is something the trophy hunting lobby has been looking for years. It's a way of chipping away a little bit at the Endangered Species Act. The other thing they do is they'll shoot all the bears legally in Canada, and then they'll turn to the Fish and Wildlife Service and say, well, the bear's already dead, so why shouldn't I be able to? It's not like you're saving the bear by preventing me from importing it. But what these bans do is they prevent the market. Trophy hunting is big money business. And so as long as you can't bring your trophy home, you're not going to go out and pay a hunting safari outfit $250,000 to let you shoot a black rhino or whatever it is. The U.S. trophy hunters have tons of money. So that's just one piece of this bill.
Well, that's the sickest thing I've ever heard of. I mean, for one thing, what if they bring it? How big is this constituency? Who do these senators think that they're helping with legislation like that? Like 1/2 of.
Right.
1% of Americans?
Who is the trophy hunting lobby?
Yeah.
There are a couple of groups. One is called the Safari Club International. There's a Dallas Safari Club as well. They claim, like a lot of hunting groups, to be largely conservationists. They're so concerned with endangered species that they will pay the government of Namibia, say, $250,000 to shoot a highly endangered black rhino. And but at the core of trophy hunting, there's a lot of ego. There is, these guys, if they can't bring it home and show it off.
Well, I was going to say, if they bring it home, what they do, right, is stuff it and put it in their den.
And they get a prize from their
right?
trophy hunting group. The Safari Club gives out prizes if you shoot all the big five, say, the African safari animals, lions and elephants and water buffalo, the big five, and they'll give you a plaque.
To be fair, you really haven't lived until you've curled up on a rhino skin rug.
Imagine having one of those things in your living room.
That's terrifying. That is honestly terrifying.
I was invited to, years and years ago, to a guy's house in Orange County, California, and I walked in, and he had a polar bear.
Whoa.
Stuffed polar bear, standing, right, in the entryway to the home. I mean, I just wanted to throw up. And he was bragging about, oh yeah, I shot this myself. I'd never go back there. I mean, and in fact, I never had anything to do with him after that. I mean, I just thought, what a...
And that polar bear probably didn't die standing up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
No, I mean, but the idea that this legislation would be introduced, it gets back to, we can't get the ban passed on assault weapons, right? Which is what Congress ought to be about.
Sure.
But instead, they're making it easier for gun owners and hunters and whatever to
shoot more guns in more places, to shoot guns on federal land, to open up federal lands and national forests to more hunting. I mean, this bill includes a provision. This is crazy. Includes a provision to allow those big bass fishing shows, hunting shows
right.
It's just a lot of killing.
Yeah.
And those it's complicated for those shows to go onto federal land, to go into national forests. I think it should be complicated, frankly. Mm-hmm. And this bill would make it much easier for little groups of these hunting and fishing TV shows, these action adventure shows, to be on national forest land.
All right, yeah. So we've had 11 mass shootings in the last year. Let's make it easier to get guns and to use guns. That's the direction they're going in. Why? 866-55-PRESS. When we come back with Christina, Wilkie, your call's welcome at 866-55-77-377. When we come back, is Virginia with Terry McAuliffe now the next governor-elect? Things going to be any different in Virginia? We'll be right back with the Bill Press Show.
Connect with the Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine.
Virginia Tech.
Tucson.
Aurora.
Fort Hood. Oak Creek. Newtown.
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 How many more? How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough. 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 Enough.
Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook. Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
25 minutes after the hour now here, Thursday morning, November 7. Thanks for joining us here on the Full Court Press, otherwise known as The Bill Press Show. Where'd that come from? We used to call it that on Current TV, anyhow, years ago. Christina Wilkie's in studio with us, political reporter covering the Hill, particularly gun safety issues for Huffington Post. So I want to talk a little bit about Virginia, because one of the things that I haven't heard anybody else talk about in Virginia is Terry McAuliffe is very much a supporter of gun safety. he was anathema to the NRA. How many candidates get up these days and buck the NRA? And he did, and he won.
Right, and he wore
in Virginia.
It was great in the NRA's backyard. This is their hometown state, and
their headquarters is in
Fairfax
Virginia.
County. Yeah, big shiny building that says NRA on your way to the airport.
Yep,
but
going out Route 66.
Right.
So how did he do it? Does this show that the power of the NRA is fading?
It might. I mean, in a lot of ways, I think McAuliffe, he wore his F rating from the NRA on his sleeve.
Yep.
It came out in a debate at Virginia Tech, obviously the site of tragic massacre. And, and Cuccinelli, his opponent, wore his A rating on his sleeve. I think at the end of the day, a lot of other issues stepped in, whether it was healthcare or Cuccinelli's extremism, his beliefs about birth control and reproductive rights. So what guns did in this race, in a lot of ways, I think, is harden the positions of people who already held them. So if you already thought Ken Cuccinelli was too extreme, his gun rhetoric was going to make you dislike him even more.
Now, what are you going to? What's McAuliffe likely to be able to do in Virginia with that position? Any tougher gun safety laws, or enforce the ones that are there? Or what?
Well, or prevent the Virginia state delegation, the state house, from loosening the state's current gun laws. So you'll have a Republican-controlled Richmond and McAuliffe, Democratic governor. So that coming out of the state house are a lot of proposals to roll back or to weaken, legislation. For instance, in Virginia, you can only buy one gun a month. You poor thing, you only one gun a month, right?
Oh, jeez, that's why I don't live in Virginia.
Well, the Virginia the state Senate would like you to be able to buy more guns a month. They think it's burdensome. You can only buy one gun, and Cuccinelli was prepared to roll back this law and say you can only buy one gun. I think so. McAuliffe will be less of a sort of progressive, less moving forward, but simply holding the line. Which in a state like Virginia, which has north of 2 million gun owners, I mean, it's a strong gun tradition state.
Yeah.
That might be the best he can do.
Make a big difference. Christina Wilkie, so good to have you in studio. Thanks for your good work. You can follow her work at HuffingtonPost.com, of course. Thanks for coming in. Come back again.
Thanks, Bill. I will.
This is the Bill Press Show.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
It is possible to read the history of this country as one long struggle to extend the liberties established in our Constitution to everyone in America. In other words, who, according to our laws and culture, gets to be considered a person? The law creates legal personhood, and movements create law and change culture. So, how have the courts passed laws to shape our culture? That history goes way back before Citizens United. 1819, Dartmouth College versus Woodward, Supreme Court case, turned a corporate charter from a government-granted charter to a contract. This ruling gave corporations standing within the Constitution. 1886, Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad. Though the court did not rule on corporate personhood, the decision was subsequently cited as a precedent to hold that a private corporation is entitled to the same 14th Amendment rights of due process and equal protection as human beings. This makes it impossible for us to make laws that treat local businesses any differently than giant multinational corporations, even if their business practices are deemed to be harmful to workers, the environment and communities, or if they have a history of violating the law. Hale versus Henkel, 1906. The court granted corporations the Fourth Amendment search and seizure protection. Dodge versus Ford Motor Company 1919. The Michigan Supreme Court says the business corporation is organized and carried on primarily for the profit of the stockholders. Stockholder primacy is established. The purpose of the corporation, according to the court, is no longer to serve the public good, as it had been. It is now to maximize profit for shareholders above all else. Pennsylvania Coal Company versus Mahon, 1922. Corporations get the Fifth Amendment takings clause, meaning if you pass a regulation that impacts a corporation's ability to make a profit, that is deemed a taking, and they can sue for the right to future profits lost. This creates a chilling effect, and local and state governments become much more hesitant to pass laws in the public interest for fear that corporations can claim loss of potential profits that cities and states will be on the hook to pay. Buckley versus Vallejo, 1976. The Supreme Court rules that spending money to influence elections is protected under the First Amendment, in effect saying that money is speech. Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission, 2010.
Today, the Supreme Court of Chief Justice John Roberts declared that because of the alchemy of its 19th century predecessors in deciding that corporations had all the rights of people, any restrictions on how these corporate beings spend their money on political advertising are unconstitutional.
The court's ruling threatens to undermine the integrity of elected institutions across the nation. It's a rejection of the common sense of the American people.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Hey, here we go at 33 minutes after the hour on a Thursday, November 7. Well, it always happens. That damn Joe Cirincione,
Here's what happened.
He's one of our best friends, but,
we like
come
Joe.
on. Joe, where are you? Joe. Anyhow, so Joe was going to be here. I've been promoting it. I just want you to know. This is live TV, live radio. It's what happens. Sometimes, despite their best efforts, the guests don't quite make it. Joe Cirincione, head of the Ploughshares Fund, is stuck on the subway.
Well, he called me and he says, I don't know where I am. I don't know what happened last night. Things got a little out of control.
Is he in a drunken stupor?
He might have been in a drunken stupor. And so who knows where Joe is. Joe, if you can hear me, buddy, just follow the sound of our voice.
Right. And he most likely will join us at the top of the next hour. We're not going to lose him. Just have it right now. But, and by the way, it's too bad Joe is not here because he would be jealous of this scarf that I'm wearing. Those of you who are watching on Free Speech TV or on the video stream at YouTube, TawkrTV can see it, and those of you listening on the radio can imagine how beautiful it is. It's a hand-woven scarf by my wife, Carol Press. I'm wearing it because it's cold in the studio today and because I want you to see what might make the perfect Hanukkah gift or Christmas gift to someone you love or to yourself. If you want to really check them out, these are rayon chenille. They're wonderful. Go to our website, BillPressShow.com, and just click up on the top at where it says Carol Press Scarves. Now, if Joe Cirincione is in a drunken stupor, he is not the only one. Of course, we talked a little bit yesterday about Toronto Mayor Rob Ford. What a story. And we talked about it so quickly we didn't have a chance to get your take on it. Wanted to give you that opportunity this morning. What should happen to this Rob Ford, mayor of Toronto? Should he resign, as more and more people are calling on him to do? Or should he hang in there, continue to do the job as mayor of Toronto, and then run for re-election next year and let voters decide then? You know the story. There were rumors for months that there was it was TawkrTV, Gawker, I think.
Gawker, the website. Yeah, they're the first ones. Yeah.
They're the first ones that said, hey, we've heard there's a video out there of the mayor of Toronto smoking crack cocaine. And it was deny. last week the police chief of Toronto confirmed that he had seen the video and that the mayor was the person on the video. The police chief, however, would not say exactly what the mayor was doing on that video. So the whole thing started to unravel, and a couple of days ago, the mayor, meeting with reporters, it wasn't a news conference yet. This is before the news conference. He ran into a group of reporters, and he fessed up, yeah, that was me, and that's what I was doing.
Yes, I have smoked crack cocaine.
There it is.
But no, do I? Am I an addict? No. Probably in one of my drunken stupors, probably approximately about a year ago.
Approximately a year ago, one time only in a drunken stupor. And the reporters, of course, said, well, then, dude, why were you lying to us all this time? Oh, no, he says, I wasn't lying.
I wasn't lying. You didn't ask the correct questions. No, I'm not an addict. And no, I do not do drugs. I made mistakes in the past, and all I can do is apologize. But it is what it is, and I can't change the past.
So it's your dumb mistake, right? If you would only ask me, was I in a did I smoke cocaine while I was crack cocaine while I was in a drunken stupor on the night of December 7, 2012 at 11:17 p.m. in front of Rob Portman's house or whatever. I mean, if you had asked me that, I would have said yes, but you didn't ask me that. So
that honestly is something that
best political spin ever.
That is some of the greatest political spin. Also something that like a 5-year-old might say.
Exactly. Right. Now, so here's a question to you. Should he step down? Let's talk about it. 866-55-PRESS. He's the mayor. He's been there 3 years. He admits it. He got drunk. He smoked crack cocaine, he says, only once. Is that enough to make him lose his job? Is that enough to drum him out of office? 866-55-PRESS. The mayor, for his part, says, I'm elected to do my job. I'm going to continue to do my job.
I was elected to do a job, and that's exactly what I'm going to continue doing.
Boom. So there it is. And by the way, from everything we've been able to learn, he's been doing a pretty good job as mayor. 6th largest city in North America, Toronto. It's got the economy's going great. A lot of jobs, great shoreline, great, city view and the whole thing, skyline. So no complaints about his job as mayor until he was found smoking crack cocaine. And he says, so I'll continue. And then next year is re-election time. That's when voters can decide.
I want the people of this great city to decide whether they want Rob Ford to be their mayor.
All right. Up to you. Let's say, look, and this could happen here, right? I mean, come on. This could happen in Miami. This could happen in L.A. This could happen in, you name it. Iowa City, Iowa. Anywhere, right? And if
it could happen here in Washington, D.C. Oh, wait.
It
did.
Yeah, it did happen. But that's the point. It did happen here in Washington, D.C. with Marion Barry years and years ago. And what happened? He was sent up the river. He came back out of prison. He served his time. He came back, and he was reelected mayor of Washington, D.C., and he's still on the city council here in Washington, D.C. So if it happened in your city, is this enough to drive a mayor out of office? 866-55-PRESS. I got to tell you, I don't think so. If he's done a good job as mayor, and apparently, again, he has, I'd say, all right, he made a mistake, dumb mistake, don't do it again. But I wouldn't drum him out of office, run him out of office just for that. It could have been worse. He could have been sending selfies. And, given if you've taken one look at Rob Ford, that's the last thing you want.
There's not a camera big enough.
All right. So you're a voter in Toronto. You stick with the mayor or you say, no, get out of here. Bad example, bad role model. 866-55-PRESS. Let's talk about it here this Thursday morning on The Bill Press Show.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is The Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the area.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Here we go, 16 minutes before the top of the hour. In the next hour, we're going to have so many guests in studio. I don't know whether we have enough chairs, but Evan McMorris-Santoro will be here as a friend of Bill. Joe Cirincione from the Ploughshares Fund. And then we'll be going up to Toronto to talk to Ivor Tossell, who was a writer for the Globe and Mail, great new Toronto paper, about the subject we're talking about right now, which is what does the future hold for Rob Ford? Does the future hold a prison cell, or does it hold a rehabilitation center, or does it hold the mayor's office? It's up to the people of Toronto, of course. Well, it's up to the mayor right now. If it happened in your town, one mistake on the part of an otherwise good mayor, how tough are you going to be? Sharon from Hollywood, Florida. What do you say, Sharon?
Hi, how
Good
you
morning.
doing? You
Good.
wonderful, wonderful, wonderful human being.
Well, thank you. Made my day.
I watch you every morning.
Thanks,
anyway,
Sharon. Yeah.
I was sergeant at arms in my union in the school board of Broward County, and we were in Hollywood, and we had the problem with the kids. We knew what was going on with the drugs.
Yeah.
Street drugs. And when I heard what this mayor was doing, I went, what? He's got to go. He's got to get out.
Just because
we the people have got to stand up and fight.
Just because you're saying he's a bad example to the kids up there, huh?
Very bad. Very bad.
Yeah, that's good. But he made one mistake, Sharon. You're going to be that unforgiving? Yeah.
No, no. He needs to get his life straightened out.
All right. Okay, Sharon. She's cracking down. Well, I'm not sure cracking down is the right.
It's a really, really poor choice of words,
Bill. It's a poor choice of words this morning, Sharon. Love you. Thanks for your call. Bill in Chicago.
Yes, sir. We have an addicted mayor here.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Oh, no.
Wait a minute. Well, he's addicted to power, maybe, right?
That's what I'm talking about. Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
We lived through Bill Clinton's little escapades, right? Turned out that, he was, by a lot of stretches of everybody's imagination, he was a good mayor. He was a good president.
Yeah, right.
If this fella is running the town, if the budget's balanced, if the town meets its requirements and everything else, Toronto is a beautiful city. No one can make one mistake and be in political life. Boy, then all of Washington should be cleared out.
Totally. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I mean, it is a bad example for the kids, but I think a good example for the kids to say, hey, I screwed up, right? And I'm sorry I did it, and let's just move on with life. But we've gotten it, Bill, we've gotten into this position today with any one mistake, right? And the answer is, boom, they got to go, right?
Right.
We can't expect people to be like the Pope. Well, yeah, but even the Pope screwed up, didn't he?
I was just going to say.
The last Pope did.
Hi, Bill. I appreciate it.
All right, Bill. Great call. Thank you. Yeah, I really believe that. I mean, even Anthony Weiner. Anthony Weiner's problem was that he didn't correct his mistake. That he kept doing the same old stuff. But for the first time around, as far as I was concerned, I thought it was a mistake for Anthony Weiner to have to be run out of Congress. Sheila is in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Hey, Sheila.
Hi, Bill. I love your show, first of all, but I think that if the people of Toronto are going to accept him and not put him out because of that one mistake, that it should be the same for everyone else. Maybe he is a good mayor, but if the employee of the year working for McDonald's got caught doing something like that, he'd immediately be fired. So I say if he should be forgiven, then it should be the same for anyone else in any other job. Just because he's, mayor, why should he be treated any differently than anybody else, in America?
But have we gotten to the point where we're just too unforgiving, or we just expect people, particularly elected officials, to be like perfect? And we know they're not, right?
Well, no, we know they're not, but no one's perfect. But still, like I said, somebody who works for McDonald's or any other job for that matter would be fired if their manager saw something like that on the internet.
Yeah. I know you're right. I'm just not sure. Even in that case, I don't think that's right either. I guess is what I'm saying. And two wrongs don't make a right. Again, he's elected mayor. All right. The first question is he doing a good job as mayor? Right? Are the potholes being fixed? Right? Are the street lights still on? Do the bridges work? Is he balanced the budget? What's the employment situation? Business is humming in the city. If they are, I think throwing him overboard and taking a chance with somebody else untested is maybe too risky and too big a price to pay for one stupid mistake. This could be a teaching moment for Toronto, right? I mean, what he ought to do, it seems to me, rather than just run and hide, is come up and say, look, I'm mayor. If I can make a mistake like this, think how easy it is for young kids to make a mistake like this. And I want to go around to schools and just say, don't do what I did. Don't do what I did. Don't be a dumbass like me. That's better use of his time than running him out of office.
I also think that when you look at similar scandals...
More calls coming up, 866-55-PRESS.
Of people who got busted, like our friend Elliot Spitzer. Part of the issue with him was that he was fighting to prosecute people who were transporting prostitutes across state lines, and it turns out that's something that he did. obviously he learned from it, and that's fine. But there was some hypocrisy on that front that people were upset with. With this, it's just, I goofed. It's like I screwed up, I smoked crack, I'm sorry. We've all been there, right? Am I right? I guess I'm not right. Okay.
Well, I haven't been there. I mean, I haven't done that. I've done other dumb stuff.
Right.
Yeah. But Paul is in. I'm more forgiving about this than other people are, apparently, from your calls. Paul from Benson, Pennsylvania. Hey, Paul.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's from what I see, it's just. If it would have been like some black kid got caught smoking crack or some Hispanic kid or anybody else, they'd be in juvenile hall or in jail by now.
Oh, I know. You're absolutely right. Yeah. But Paul, there's something wrong with that, too, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. But, if that's the law and that's the way it is and everybody else is going to jail for it and he gets a pass, and what kind of example is it when he could go out and say, hey, look, I could smoke crack and be the mayor?
You raise a very good point, and I've been wondering about that myself. I haven't heard, we'll have to ask the reporter from the Toronto Globe and Mail that. I haven't heard about the legal implications of what he did. I mean, he says, okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to stay in office, but Peter, crack cocaine's got to be illegal in Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, so he committed an illegal act. So he may have some troubles here with the police department when they come calling as well. One more call here from Rose in Ligonier, Indiana. Hi, Rose.
Hi, morning, Bill.
Good morning. What do you think here?
Well, people keep forgetting. We have had this war on drugs for so many years.
Yes.
And people are not machines, and even machines break down. We need to take, and if we're having problems, admit to them, and at least get into programs to where this behavior can be corrected, and not just make it so stigmatized that you don't even go that route. We need to actually get back to the fact that you need to forgive one another, and instead we're just criticizing everybody to the max.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, excellent point. I mean, treat it as a health problem, not a criminal problem. And by the way, I was thinking while you were talking, Rose, it'll be hard for conservatives to say, no, he used drugs, therefore out of a job. How about Rush Limbaugh? Right? With the hillbilly heroin down there. I mean, wasn't that just as bad? And look where he is today. Nobody's got a problem with that. If Rush Limbaugh can still stay on the air, Rob Ford can stay as mayor of Toronto. That's the final word.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, here we go. Almost ready for hour number 3. I know we're going to lose you on Free Speech TV. That's too bad, but you can continue to watch the show on our video stream, TawkrTV. You know how to get there. YouTube.com/Tawker, TAWKR, TawkrTV. Evan McMorris-Santoro covers the White House for Buzzfeed. One of my buddies down at the briefing room. He'll be here as a friend of Bill the entire hour, and we'll bounce up to Toronto and talk about the saga of Mayor Rob Ford. Stay with us.
In 1920s America, the Great Depression effectively erased consumer demand. Struggling manufacturers needed new ways to get people buying again. Innovative production processes like stamping and use of molds allowed them to use new materials for their designs. Products using vinyl, chrome, aluminium and plywood began appearing. American industrial designers began introducing streamlined, efficient shapes that shouted progress. Bel Geddes pioneered what we now refer to as utilitarian art. Things that had little reason to look sleek now all of a sudden did. At the 1939 World Fair featuring Bel Geddes' immensely popular Futurama exhibit, a new era of American industrial design proudly claimed to be building the world of tomorrow. Americans found great positivity in these futuristic forms.
Yay.
Things were looking up. American industrial designers realised that by making objects look great, people simply wanted them more. From cars to kitchen appliances, the most influential society on earth was spending money again. Mass consumption had arrived. Advertisers finally had lots to talk about. Personal taste could be expressed through the things you bought. Style became equally as important as function. Chair designers like Eames and Saarinen didn't just design seating, they created desirable lifestyles. People behind the products suddenly were stars. Everyone wanted to know who they were. Raymond Loewy was one of the shining lights of American industrial design. His face ended up on every coffee table in the nation. Toothpaste packaging promised whiter teeth. Washing powder packaging promised whiter whites. Who knew such simple household objects would shape the tastes and ambitions of an entire society? American industrial design improved America, functionally, culturally and intellectually, and exported it around the globe.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, you got it in the next hour. Evan McMorris-Santoro from Buzzfeed covers the White House for Buzzfeed. Will be here as a friend of Bill. He'll be joined by Joe Cirincione from the Ploughshares Fund, talking about NSA and all of our allies being upset. And then we'll be talking with a reporter for the Toronto Globe and Mail about Rob Ford. The president and the vice president on their schedule today get their daily briefing at 10:30. The president and the vice president meet with Treasury Secretary Jack Lew at 1:30. And then this evening, the president is hosting a screening of Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom, in the Family Theater at the White House. Cast and crew are going to be there with the president. The press briefing by Jay Gerney at 12:30 today in the briefing room. Back for hour number 3 of the Bill Press Show.
Is the Bill Press Show. Around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
Well, Chris Christie says, takes a big ego to think about running for president, but I got one, and I'm thinking about it. Yeah, that was his take on the election. That's not the only thing big about Chris Christie. Good morning, everybody. What do you say? It is the Bill Press Show on Thursday, November 7. We're still looking at the aftermath of what happened on Tuesday in Virginia and Alabama and New Jersey, around the country, and other news of the day. That's why it's good to have you with us today here on your local progressive talk radio station. And don't forget, you can join the conversation at any time at 866-55-PRESS. That is our toll-free number. Send us your acid comments on Twitter at BP Show and your friendly comments on Facebook at facebook.com/BillPress Show. That's what Facebook is for all of our friends. Speaking of friends, two of our best ones in studio here with us this morning. We had so much to cover, we had to bring in double duty here. We doubled down. Here is a friend to Bill the entire hour, Evan McMorris-Santoro.
Good morning.
My buddy from the White House, covers the White House for Buzzfeed. Evan, good to see you.
Good to see you.
You were doing some pool duty the other day there.
I did.
Yeah.
I got to go to see Obama talk to hockey players and got to go to an OFA event. It was nice. Fun day.
Yeah, had a good day. And, of course, one of our regulars, whenever we had to look at the bigger picture, the global picture, Joe Cirincione from the Ploughshares Fund, looking very dapper this morning.
Why,
Joe,
thank you very much. So, and
yeah.
by the way, I am president of the Ploughshares Fund.
What did I say?
No, you did. It's just good to be president.
Yes.
I think you should go for this.
Well, you're referring to my campaign for the board, not president. Not president. Just for the board. A member, just a regular old, the junior member.
Oh, I see. Well, that's
of the
cute.
board
That's
of the
nice.
White House Correspondents Association. Do you have a vote?
No, I don't, unfortunately.
Poor Bill is asking everybody if they have a vote, man. I mean, he's stopping people delivering the mail.
Yeah. But do you have, then the more important, do you have a scarf?
I do not have it. Well, I have a scarf from last year, which I've just pulled out. It's
Who
on
made the
on
scarf?
my hook. It turns out your wife made that scarf. It is the warmest, most glamorous scarf I've ever had.
Great Hanukkah presents, right?
Great Hanukkah presents.
Great Christmas presents.
And Hanukkah's early this year. It's coming up.
That's right. It's just the same as Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Same
Yeah,
day.
one of those things.
Yeah.
Well, Joe,
What are they calling it this year? Thanks to give a Hanukkah or something,
something like that.
Or something, some
Hanukkah.
hybrid.
Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
that's right.
Thanksgiving.
Joe, here you go. I think that'll go with that.
That is gorgeous.
That's just a loan here for why you're
That
here.
actually goes to that suit very well.
Oh, look
that
at that.
goes to that suit very well.
Very
It's too bad
nice.
people who are not watching this on TV are missing like a very serious fashion thing is happening right now.
It goes with your shirt and your tie, Joe, which I have to say is a very interesting combination of paisley and butterflies on your tie. I'm not sure if anyone's watching, but that's a very interesting pattern.
Throwback 60s.
All right, guys. Now, I want you to know that with Joe, you and I, or you and I have talked about drones a lot, and I've got a lot of concerns about drones and the escalating use of drones under this administration. However, I've admitted, and now as drones start to creep here into the United States, that there are some uses of drones that I could accept, like for monitoring forest fires, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's okay. For the Coast Guard to use them for air and sea rescues and that kind of stuff. I think that's a good use of drones. It turns out there's another very valuable use of drones that now having been adopted in several southern states, and that is to go after the feral pigs, which are raising hell in farms down in Louisiana because they're these big monsters. They come in, they breed with the regular pigs, they tear down the fences, they ruin the crops, and so the farmers are using drones. Here's a farmer from Louisiana telling how it works.
This is the thermal camera on the airplane that, for all intents and purposes, it makes the pigs look like they're glowing in the dark.
Makes them look like they're glowing in the dark, and then once the drone, zeroes in, lights them up, basically, then the drone...
Oh, no!
There you go. Think about that. These little drones out there.
Oh, God.
Going after feral pigs.
Doesn't seem fair. A pig shoot.
Anybody else hungry for bacon?
I was going to say,
love some bacon right
feral
now.
bacon price, it sounds pretty good to me.
But this is a pretty...
Bacon that can't be tamed.
But it's a pretty creative, innovative, way to use a drone.
Yeah. Well, I think this is, we're going to be seeing more of this. I was just watching, I was watching Nova the other day, and they had some guy, some scientist I think at MIT or something is designing a system of very small drones that are going to fly into crash sites and such, like where buildings collapse and fly around in there. Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see a lot of drones seem to be here to stay for the time being.
So the question I have, Joe, is the same people that are out at the CIA who are running the drones in Pakistan, are they the ones running the drones for the feral pigs?
Yeah, there are two guys that work out there named Bubba and Dub who are
well, it's on their spare
looking
time.
for pigs in the South.
Right,
Oh, God.
It's a side job.
It's a Discovery reality show. It's just going to happen. I just realized that.
Started right
Pig
here.
drone.
Swine
Pig
hunters.
drone.
Hog drones.
I'm not sure we wanted both these guys in the studio at the same time. I'm not sure we could handle this. All right, 12 minutes after the hour. We're going to be joined a little bit later by a reporter from the Toronto Globe and Mail about, speaking of feral pigs, about Rob Ford, the mayor of Toronto. Hey, we got so much going on here, Peter. You don't mind if we don't do a full
No, don't worry about it. I'll step aside.
All right, we'll step aside.
I had great stories for you, but nothing's gonna top hog drones.
No, I think we've done, but Joe, I'm really glad you're in today because we haven't talked since. And Evan, you and I have been at the White House at the briefings with all this talk about NSA.
Yes.
And it first came out with Angela Merkel and so Jay Carney's response for whether or not we were tapping our cell phone is, the president told her when she made that angry phone call, we are not tapping your phone today and we will not tap it in the future. He would not answer the obvious question.
Yes.
Well, I mean, the answer was so obvious that's clear. I mean, you couldn't have any more of an admission than that, I think.
Yeah, that we did it in the past. Yeah. Is this creating a problem with our allies?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I was at a private session with some former heads of intelligence agencies. The whole thing was off the record, although I guess not for the NSA. But
not, for this show. Not for this show.
Not for this show. But, you know, I had the feeling that these intelligence officials still are denying reality, still haven't quite grasped how bad this whole series of exposures are. And as you know, the New York Times and the Guardian have said they've released only about a third of the information that Snowden has given them. So we're going to see these stories continue to come out, and embarrassing stories like this, like we're tapping world leaders. And, you know, to a certain extent, everybody knows this, but not this extent, not her personal cell phone, this kind of tracking. Or the story from the New York Times the other day, no morsel too small for the NSA. The extent of this kind of data collection, it's really starting to hurt the agency. I think a lot of people sort of brushed it off or aside. Who cares? You know, I didn't do anything wrong. If they're tracking my email tracks, you know, what difference does it make? But increasingly, you get the feeling of an intelligence apparatus that's gotten too big and is now out of control.
Do you believe the president didn't know about it?
He might not have known the details. You know, he might have been known that we're monitoring German officials' communications, and we've done this for many years, and they monitor ours. But he might not have known the details of how far this has gotten.
What do you think of this Casablanca defense that we are hearing now from the NSA? Right, this there's gambling in this establishment. I mean, do you think that's totally tone deaf, or is that indicative? I mean,
I do think it's tone deaf. I mean, part of it is true. Everybody does do it. You know. The British spy on us, but it's not to this extent, not with this scope. There's nobody in the world that matches the kind of intelligence capability that the United States has built in just the last 10 years. That's what's so new about this. We can see everything. We can go everywhere, and that's what's starting to freak people out.
Well, I'll tell you what freaks me out is if the president did not know about it, if we were, and if, you know, he was at the Brandenburg Gate standing alongside of Merkel in June.
Yeah.
All right, but so if we're tapping her phone and Benjamin Netanyahu's phone, who knows who else's phone, and the president doesn't know about it, then who is making the decision?
Yeah.
That's a pretty weighty decision, right? That we're going to tap the private cell phone of one of our best allies. And if anybody in this government has the power to make that decision without telling the president of the United States, things are really out of control, it seems to me. Huh?
Well, again, it's a scope thing. There is so much intelligence collection going on that you really wouldn't expect the president to be checking off on all these things. But you're saying, well, how about that box that says world leaders? Can I check off that box?
Yeah. Shouldn't there be, I guess my question is, shouldn't there be some restraints or some parameters on the collection of intelligence.
Well, I saw Hayden was on CNN or something talking about this, and the former CIA director, Michael Hayden.
No, he was on the Amtrak train.
That's right. Also on the Amtrak train. But what he was saying was something that, like, and I'm not sure about this, that the intelligence comes in, and some of it was so good that maybe people should have been questioning where it came from, but maybe they weren't. I don't know. I mean, my question is, where is the line in terms of how common or uncommon is this? I mean, should we... So the Germans, if they were able to tap Obama's phone, they wouldn't because of decorum, or sort of... like, my question is, where like where are those lines? I think that's the big question for everybody. It does seem surprising, this Merkel phone thing, but I wonder how uncommon it is to see this sort of stuff happening.
Well, so this is the true part. It's not uncommon. You remember years ago, the U.S. was nearing construction of a new embassy in Moscow, decades ago, and they had to tear it down because they found bugs were built into the walls of the embassy, including into the seal of the United States that was in the ambassador's office. So, we can't move in. Tear the whole thing down, start all over again. So obviously, this kind of thing continues, and our allies do. And the British, as I say, the British, the French, the Israelis, spy on us.
You mentioned his name earlier.
Yes.
Isn't it time to recognize that Edward Snowden performed a public service in revealing this information? I believe, and look, nothing that's been revealed so far that's come out of his documents has been proven to be false. Everything is true.
Or you could say has really harmed U.S. national security.
Has he?
As far as we know, no. As far none of the stories, none of the exposed an agent or jeopardized anyone's lives. It's just letting people know the extent, and I think this is healthy. And so when I was in this meeting with these former intelligence chiefs, I was saying, you've got to be more transparent. I know this is a hard word for you, but you got to let people know. I think in America there would be support for a lot of what they're doing if we knew about it. And what's undermining the entire intelligence effort at this point is these exposés of the extent, the scope of all this that we just didn't know about, and it raises this question that you raised, Bill. Who's authorizing this? Who's saying this is okay? Does the president know this? Does the Congress know this? Do the voters know this?
Yeah, what's fascinating is the administration has fallen all over itself to express how eager it is to have a conversation about this. Eager it is to have a conversation about all these things that we're doing. But that conversation wasn't going to happen unless this Snowden thing happened.
It would not have happened.
That seems very clear.
Yeah.
Two things. It would not have happened without Snowden, number one. Number two, what I've been trying to get Jay Carney to respond to recently is he keeps saying, well, we're having this conversation now. We're having this review at the White House level.
Yeah.
But we don't know anything about it. Who's in charge of this review, right? What are they really looking at? Where are their meetings, and why can't we know something about their meeting? How long do they have for this review? When are we going to see the report? It's a top secret review.
They've made some changes due to the review, they say, right? They've already made some changes, but we don't know what those changes are.
We don't know what those. Remember with the gun safety? President Obama said, we're going to have this commission, this task force. Joe Biden's in charge. They're going to have public hearings, and report will be back in a month, right?
Yeah.
But this thing is all under wraps. It's all under, it's typical of.
One last word about Snowden. There's been a lot of criticism of his going to Russia, and why doesn't he come back to the United States and face the music like Daniel Ellsberg did?
Yeah, I know why.
But you have to say he's played this pretty well. I mean, he understood how much information he'd given these newspaper outlets, and he's letting it all come out. So he's staying, at least for the next few months, safely away from prison and letting the information come out, and then maybe he'll come back and handle all this in a judicial way.
With all due humility, I must say it doesn't get any better than this. Joe Cirincione, Evan McMorris-Santoro, and Bill Press. Part of it. You got all three of us here. We'll continue. Don't forget. And you're welcome. We'll find a place for you here at the table. 866-55-PRESS. Joe Cirincione recently had dinner with the president of Iran. Didn't have to tap his phone. We'll find out about it when we come back.
This is the Bill Press Show. Bill Press Show.
Here we go, 25 minutes after the hour, Thursday morning, November 7. In studio with us, President of the Ploughshares Fund, Joe Cirincione, and Evan McMorris-Santoro from Buzzfeed, covers the White House for Buzzfeed, here as a friend of Bill. Joe has a new book out, Nuclear Nightmares. Next time you're in, we'll have to talk about it.
Yes,
bring
I'll
a copy.
Bring a copy in.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much,
by the way. Let's continue on the big stories of the day.
I mean,
Evan?
let's talk about this Iran dinner. Are we seeing? Is this a turning point? I mean, have we turned the turning point now in terms of changing our relations with the Iranians?
Yes, we have, and it's not just the phone call between Obama and Rouhani. It's not just the meeting between Secretary of State Kerry and Foreign Minister Zarif, both of which are historic, haven't happened since the revolution 35 years ago. But it's the interlocking negotiations that are going on now. Iranians meeting with Americans, meeting with the other nations that are represented in these talks. Today in Geneva, they're trying to hammer out what they call the initial step, where Iran will agree to suspend some of its activities, roll back some of its activities, and in exchange, the West, led by the United States, will agree to suspend some of the sanctions, start to roll back some of the sanctions. They're looking to forge that initial step. If you can do this, if there's an announcement tomorrow or maybe in the next couple of weeks, then you'll actually talk about starting to resolve this Iranian crisis that has gripped us for 10 years, that has had people talking about war, Israel striking or the U.S. striking. And it will not only end the Iranian crisis, it could be the beginning of a major realignment between the U.S. and Iran that we haven't seen in 35 years.
From the outside, what are we seeing in Iran? Is this a change in the people? I know they voted for this moderate candidate, or is it a change in sort of like the religious top leadership of the country? What should we take away from what the Iranians are thinking now?
It's a recognition that their economy is collapsing in large part because of the sanctions, but also because of economic mismanagement. And the election in June was a sweeping mandate from the Iranian people for change. They elected the most moderate of the candidates that were offered. And there's really a consensus among the Iranian elite, including the clerics, that they've got to fix the economy. The only way to do that is to end the sanctions. The only way to do that is to make a deal on the nuclear program. And I think you're seeing that consensus now operate in the kind of negotiations, the kind of offers the Iranians are making.
We have less than a minute, Joe, which is unfair.
Go.
But I got to ask you, Syria, the chemical weapons, is it on course? Is it happening? Is Syria cooperating?
Another remarkable turn of events. So weapons that Syria denied even having 2 months ago, then they are now declared their facilities. They have destroyed their production capability. Syria can no longer make chemical weapons. The UN just verified 22 of the 23 declared sites. So this is a deal that is working, and we should see it completed within 6 to 9 months.
And they're destroying their weapons as well, right?
The weapons destruction has started.
Yeah. Huge step forward. Joe Cirincione, great to see you, my friend.
Thank you, Bill.
It's ploughshares.org, Plough, shares.org.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Look.
seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is The Bill Press Show.
Thursday morning, November 7, 33 minutes after the hour. Here we go with the Bill Press Show. We're coming to you live from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and our studio on Capitol Hill, right here down the street from the United States Congress. Brought to you today by the National Education Association, the good men and women of the National Education Association, the NEA, under President Dennis Van Rokel, creating great public schools for every student in America. You bet we salute our teachers, thank them for their support of the program. In studio with us as a friend Bill, a great product of American schools, Evan McMorris-Santoro. He's made it all the way up to covering the White House for Buzzfeed.
It's true.
How about it, Evan?
How about it?
See you. So, we had big elections this week, of course, across the country, many cities, many states. But the big political news of the week really is north of the border. It's up in Toronto with Mayor Rob Ford, who admits using crack cocaine in a drunken stupor once, he says, won't do it again, and he refuses to step down as mayor. Ivor Tossell covers things happening in Toronto for the Toronto great paper, Globe and Mail, joining us on our news line this morning. Hello, Ivor. Good to have you with us.
Hi there. How are you doing?
Pretty exciting days up there, right? I bet you haven't had this much fun in a long time.
You never kind of want to admit to it, but it is actually a very exciting time to be covering City Hall.
I'll bet. So how long have rumors of this video been out there?
It was Gawker and the Toronto Star, another newspaper here, broke news of it in May of 2013, and there'd been the mayor had been at the center of lots of controversies and lots of bizarre stories, but the crack it just kind of blew everyone away. Nobody was expecting the story to take that turn.
And he denied it for a long time. Why did he finally admit it?
Well, the event that immediately preceded that was that the police chief here announced that as part of a large criminal investigation that had been going on to drugs and gangs in the city, that the tape actually existed. We haven't seen it yet, but it was announced that the thing actually was real, and I think there'd been a lot of question marks swirling about, is this just something that the media was making up? I think a lot of the mayor's supporters chose not to believe the media on this one. So there was a lot of vindication here for the reporters who saw the tape and who were maintaining that it actually existed.
So Ivor, what is the larger impact of all this now? Right, the tape is out. He's admitted it. Now this is out there. What does this mean for the people who live in Toronto and for what happens next in that city in the coming months?
Well, I think the first thing is that there's actually quite a bit of concern for the mayor's health and well-being. What political support he had on the city's council is very quickly drying up, and a lot of his former allies are saying, well, you really need to take a step back and look after your health. And I think, his political allies and foes alike don't want to see anything, bad happen to him that way. So I think the immediate question is, will he step down or will he at least step back and seek help for himself? Things are pretty much at a political standstill here until something like that happens.
Now, I've got to ask you this, as a reporter covering City Hall, the mayor's been denying this for a long time, and some would say lying about it. He says in some of the best political spin I have ever heard, Ivor, I'm going to play this clip for you and our audience, that he wasn't lying at all.
I wasn't lying. You didn't ask the correct questions. No, I'm not an addict. And no, I do not do drugs. I made mistakes in the past, and all I can do is apologize. But it is what it is, and I can't change the past.
So, Ivor, he wasn't lying. You just didn't ask the right question.
When I heard that, my very first thought was, it depends what the definition of the word is.
Rub it in to us.
It's that dry Canadian humor.
But you know what? That's a bit of hair splitting there. Plenty of people have asked him. If he has smoked crack in present tense, past tense, any conceivable tense, and he simply ignored the questions he hasn't wanted to answer.
All right. The unanswered question that I have is, he broke the law, right? I mean, I don't want to jump to any conclusions here, but I assume that crack cocaine is illegal even in Toronto. And if so, he broke the law. Does he suffer any criminal consequences here?
There has not been much interest in the moment from the police in laying charges against him personally, as far as I can tell. So that would rest in the hands of police. But there is a much bigger investigation kind of going on at play there, and it surrounds the crack video and attempts that were allegedly made by people who were close to the mayor to retrieve it. And one of his friends, who is an accused drug trafficker, has been accused of extortion. Possibly in relation to an attempt to retrieve this video. So,
who took the video?
That person is unknown at the moment. There was a large project, a large housing project that was not that far off from a place where the mayor hung out. That was the subject of a huge bust, a huge police drugs and gangs bust. And the mayor seems to have been connected, at least socially, with that area. So somebody took a video. Somebody else appears to have tried to sell it, both to Gawker and to the Toronto Star. And somebody else connected to the mayor appears to have tried to retrieve it. And as usual, it's the cover-up more than the crime.
I'm not sure with smoking crack if it's the cover-up more than the crime. So when are the next? So the elections are what, next year? Is the next time the voters are going to get a chance at this if Ford doesn't resign?
Yep, late October 2014.
I wonder if I could ask you sort of a reporter-to-reporter question, because you're talking obviously to an American audience. American audiences don't spend a lot of time talking about Toronto or thinking about Toronto government or Toronto politics. Mm-hmm. How do you feel we've been doing down here as we have kind of all piled into your city to talk about your mayor?
The coverage has been actually reasonably accurate as far as I can see. Everyone certainly watched Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert with great interest the other night. There's a degree of, hey, look, we're on television, not for reasons that any of us would have wanted to. But it's a big city here. We're one of the biggest in North America. We just surpassed Chicago in size of the city proper, and I think there's a sense that even great cities have troubled mayors sometimes.
All right, now, there's another unanswered question is how good, if you're going to say, should he leave or not, to me, one of the big questions is, how good a mayor has he been? He's been there, 3 years? Is his record pretty good? Is the city humming, jobs and economy? And if that's the case, why not keep him, right?
Yeah, well, the city's actually doing pretty well, all told.
Under him.
He wants to. We're in a pretty good economic shape here. Now he wants to take credit for that, which is probably more than he deserves. A lot of his mayoralty has been tied up in scandals, if not quite of this magnitude, then one thing or another.
What else has he gotten in trouble over?
Well, he almost got kicked out of office about a year and a half ago for breaching conflict of interest laws. Actually, one judge threw him out until he got back in on appeal. He's been a football coach. It's very important to him to be a high school football coach, but it turns out he was kind of cutting off work to do that and leaving his council work behind to disappear off. He's turned up, intoxicated on a couple of occasions. He has a history of kind of outbursts. He actually wound up chasing a reporter in a fury around public parkland, not that far from his house when the reporter was taking a look at a land purchase he wanted to do. It's just been one thing after another, after another, after another. And the one thing to note here is that unlike mayors in other cities like New York or Chicago, the mayor here is a weak mayor. He doesn't have a lot of power. He doesn't have a lot of executive power. He can only kind of lead by getting votes together on council. And ever since his personality kind of popped loose, it's been harder and harder for him to do that.
Where did he come from? It seems like such an amazing, like such a big character. I imagine this is not just appearing now. What's his political past?
Yeah, he's a bit of a Chris Christie in a way. He was a
More
counselor.
ways than one, I might add, but
he was a counselor out in the suburbs of town for about 10 years, and very, very popular. You know, he was that guy. He was that kind of anti-establishment guy, a bit of a Tea Partier, really, kind of a small government conservative who just didn't like government getting in and doing things, and so he was the guy who would just vote no to every single thing that would come up on council. And he was just very focused on the people in his neighborhood, in his ward. You know, if they had a problem, they had a pothole or a broken water main, he'd be the guy to go barreling through the bureaucracy and fix it. Well, when he got elected in 2010, it was the height of the recession. You know, we'd had a very, very progressive mayor here in town for about 10 years after that, about 10 years prior to that, more or less, and there was just kind of a mood of financial conservatism. And he had a very, very simple message, which was, let's just cut the perks for politicians. Let's stop all the waste we can. Let's shrink government. And just in that moment, and also facing a weak field of competitors, he was the right man with the right message at that point in time.
Ivor Tossell, a political reporter for the Toronto Globe and Mail. You can follow his reports on this scandal and other events going on in Toronto at the Globe and Mail, theglobeandmail.com. Ivor, thanks for joining us. I want you to know we feel your pain, but we also delight in your pain in a sense because it proves that American politicians are not the only ones that do stupid things, right? So
it's a wide world of silly politicians.
It is indeed. Thanks, Ivor. Thanks so much.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah, he was great. That was,
I'm sure Chris Christie loved that comparison.
We were calling him Marion Barry North, right? Now he's calling him Chris Christie North. So there we go.
I mean, he did sort of tee that up for you. You know, I mean, how could you not take a swing at that?
I cannot resist the temptation. Evan, when we come back, let's talk about the Affordable Care Act, which we have seen Jay Carney twisting himself inside and out the last 2 weeks, trying to explain to us in the White House and how they're doing with it. We'll be right back with the Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press Show. Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, 11 minutes before the top of the hour. Half of the fun of going to the White House briefings every day. One half of the fun is watching Jay Gerney just try to, twist himself like a pretzel, trying not to give a straight answer. And the other fun is hanging out with good friends like Evan McMorris-Santoro, covers the White House for Buzzfeed. It's his full-time job. I just come in and, play around at the briefings. But we have seen, the focus has been, I think, almost to the point of beating a dead horse lately. Every question is about the Affordable Care Act and how the administration is dealing with it, both on the problems with the website, Evan, and then on the president's comments about if you got your insurance and you like it, you're going to be able to keep it. No doubt about it.
Right.
Let's start there. That turned out to be not the case. And it's embarrassment.
Look, I think the fundamental issue with this is that if I recall correctly, when this law was first discussed and when Obama was first elected, a lot of the discussion about the Affordable Care Act and about health care reform was about the idea of insurance reform. That there was a lot of people. If you think about back to that old debate, progressives were upset that this law didn't do enough to promote universal coverage. It didn't have public option. It didn't have a single payer system. It didn't expand Medicare. A lot of what they talked about at the time was insurance reform. And that's sort of what we're seeing play out now, is the part where insurance that people had didn't cover things that reasonable people would generally think covers insurance. We now have legally defined what good insurance is.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is good.
And a lot of insurance before that time didn't meet that standard. Now,
and there should be standards, I would argue.
I think that the White House
minimal standards.
I think on the campaign trail, my take on it, the campaign trail, that this became too complicated an issue to talk about. So just say, all right, you keep your coverage, fine, don't worry about it. You won't be affected. This is now a program for the poor. It's a program for the underserved. It's not a program for regular people because we don't want you getting upset because of what the Tea Party says and all that. But now they've messaged themselves into a corner here. He said you could keep your plan. He said it very cleanly, distinctly, clearly, over and over and over, as late as the debates, and so they got to do something about it.
Here's my question is, why don't they just say, you know what? Yeah, guys, that wasn't, we didn't really say that as artfully as we could have, or something, or we made a mistake, or yes, I misspoke, and here's what I really meant to say, and then just admit it and then move on. It seems life would be so much simpler for us, for them, for everybody.
Well, you really? I've been sure.
Just
so
say I
so
made
you
a
think
mistake.
and then Republicans go, okay, great, well, moving on then.
And I'm not sure that they would, but I think most of the American people would. I think they would accept it. If the president said, yeah, I should have said, you'll be able to keep your plan as long as it meets the standards we set, or most of you will, whatever. But it's the denial, I think, that gets them hung up.
Well, a very interesting growing storyline along this lines that your listeners should keep an eye on is this new push against insurance companies and their role in these cancellations.
Right.
And this, we're seeing state insurance regulators investigating some of these insurance cancellation letters for being inaccurate, for guiding you towards plans that are more expensive. A lot of this has to do with the fact that theoretically, you were supposed to get this letter from your insurance company and be able to go to a healthcare exchange and immediately go and find new insurance. Instead, what's happened now is that because the exchanges don't work, because the website was so poorly put together, you have people getting these letters and then have no way of finding out what the next coverage is, and then they start to be nervous. And I think the issue with this is there is no way that you can view this as a good rollout by the White House on many, many fronts. And I think that for a lot of political observers is really surprising, because this is sort of a must-win situation for them. And, they, of course, argue that they have plenty of time to, put this back together and plenty of time to build this out. And a lot of other big programs have had a hard time rolling out. But it has really been pretty amazing, I think, to watch just how much they've had to sort of deal with and how much they've had to sort of push back against their own program.
Absolutely. I think they're on their way to getting it fixed, but their time is their clock is ticking too. I think they got till the end of November to get it fixed. And with that, if only you and I were in charge, Evan.
Oh, that would be horrible. Objectively, that would be awful.
Thanks so much for your good work. Thanks for coming in today. Of
course.
Friend of Bill, always good to have you here. McMorris-Santoro. I'll be back with today's parting shot.
This is the Bill Press Show. The Parting Shot with Bill Press. This is the Bill Press Show.
Well, the dust has settled from Tuesday's election, and one thing is clear. The big loser was the Tea Party. Yeah, in Virginia, as we've talked, the Republican Party named a statewide slate of 3 Tea Party extremists. 2 of them lost. The third probably will end up losing too. And down in Alabama, the Tea Party candidate for a special congressional election was trounced by an establishment Republican who had big support from the business community. From coast to coast, Tea Party candidates proved once again that they can win Republican primaries, but they can't win general elections. We may, in fact, be seeing the end of the Tea Party's 15 minutes in American politics, as the poet John Donne might have warned members of the Tea Party. Don't ask for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. That's my parting shot for today. Doris Kearns Goodwin, presidential historian, here tomorrow. Have a great Thursday, folks. See you back here on the radio tomorrow morning. You got it.
This is the Bill Press Show.